Good morning, all. Coming to you on New Year's Eve, the last day of 2021. Very calm, somber markets with much of the world closed. Australia's already welcomed in the new year, as is New Zealand, so Happy New Year to all our Australian friends. Over in Europe, we only have half days with the United Kingdom or England and France. They are slightly down at this point. The S&P fair value is about -5 right now. We're pushing up actually near the highs of the evening. It came off, remember yesterday in the afternoon, those were hung around a little bit after the market. It fell down. There was just the usual reports out of China, surprise there, another pseudo bailout of a property company. Okay, so before we quick look at the charts, let's look what we got. Oil is actually down a bit more as Omicron is rampant throughout the world. So there's lots of talk on that. Closing things down. On the flip side of that, it is getting described by many as a common cold, or just as bad as that. Obviously, it's a coronavirus, so it's not a common cold, but the damage is much that. But the fear bomb is real. There are still very much the Delta variants around, the stronger one. I just read a report in the Sydney papers, I believe, with Frank Pritchard, who those from the football world give a shout out to him, who has the Delta variant, it seems, is on critical ventilators. So it is real in people that you may know. As far as the different variants, the Omicron is the one that's rampant, that isn't. But that is affecting markets. You see oil down. It is also end of year. Still in energy, we've seen natural gas prices plummet in Europe for the last day of the year. In England, I see prices varying from down 14% to down 26% over the overnight and into the first curve. As far as we go, we are about flat. We did try to rally. I'm talking about Henry Hub, of course. We did try to rally, but we're basically slightly down. Remember, it had that big sell-off yesterday. In specific, gold, just whilst on commodities, gold is continuing its bounce off the $1,800 mark and is up another almost $6. Silver is back over 23, up about 10 cents. Currencies are pretty stable. The dollar is up a tad. I mean, just call them stable, basically, against the yen and the euro. 10-year notes around 151.20. That's stable. Overnight in China, Asian markets did rise a tad. They had much better than expected manufacturing PMIs out. They were over 50%, over at 50.3. The expectation was to be 49.90 or 50, depending where you read. The services came in at 52.7. That was high. That gave some lift. The Nikkei was actually closed for New Year's. Okay, on to stocks. The main news is AMD is pushing back their Xilinx acquisition. Remember that? I mean, that seemed like a long time ago, but that's now going to be in the first quarter of next year. Piton, I guess if better late than never, got downgraded by JMP Securities. We had one earnings, ZEPP, or ZEPP, down 4.4% after they lowered their Q4 guidance. ZPRP and MP both filed for mixed securities or secondaries. And Xilinx and AMD are both down a tad, about 1.4% on that takeover news. LXRX, a biotech, submitted their NDA to the FDA for approval. That's up 5.8%. and XERS is up 23% on the FDA approving recall of and plans a commercial launch next year. Well, next year being tomorrow, of course. So the big talk as far as stock markets go is, and we spoke about that at length last night, is the big JP Morgan rollover on the S&P. So does that fiddle in today? We know the big roof above here, or the big line above here, is 4,800, and on Apple is 180. Apple's right now at 148.15, down a few cents from overnight. So they're the two big levels you're going to watch. We'll go through the sector most likely this afternoon. It's going to be a very quiet day. Not many people trading. Most people are, if they have, there's a few little speculation plays like on that, what happens on that S&P move for starters, but most people are probably preparing for New Year's Eve. I mean, parties are going to be different this year with a lot of people with Omicron, etc. So it'd be interesting. Those that are listening and already had New Year's, all the best for next year. Our best wishes. Okay, so any other news? Not really. I think we covered it all. Let's quickly go through the charts here without much further ado. Not much new to respond after we closed yesterday, or while we were doing our show. Actually, we saw this breakdown. So basically, this is an hourly, and you can see the whole, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 5 days have been stuck between two Murray math points. So this whole can be construed as a flag. If it breaks out the top, obviously a rolling top. I see a lot of people bearish out there, interestingly. We never got, I was actually, as you know, hoping for a test of this before we came up. We only needed a few more handles. But all we've done down is test the bottom side of it, and we're actually under it. So a bull would like to see this action, and we're doing that test, and then above it. You need to get through this. We are over the tank, and we're right on the line over this Cajun. And it does allow, believe it or not, for that some crazy move on S&P if it's fueled by JP Morgan. Now, if selling comes into it, we've really got nothing till this breakup level, which on cash is around 35. Right, that's on your hourly. Daily, for the first day yesterday, we had a red spug in quite a while, and we do have one here. If we want to look at Elliott real quickly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would be your bullish alternative. Your bearish alternative would be, this would be a 1, 2, 3 of something more, but we are too far for a B wave. So therefore you would mark this as a 5, and this would be a 1, right, 2, 3, the third wave here needing more work. Nothing overly bearish there. As far as oil goes, remember we hit our target yesterday, and lo and behold, all that work, and you got your red bar. That was classic in everything, actually. Elliott wave, itchy the whole bit as we went through quite a bit. So what are we going to do on that today? We can see we've just sold off from that breakdown level all day. We got under that small trend line. If I was to draw that, it might be easier for you to see what I'm talking about. That line there, you can see we accelerated in the thin market. That would be your resistance now on the top side, and that's also where basically what these are showing, right? The cloud is also your resistance. So use your Murray math grid. Here's a perfect support if it gets down there at 73.60, and that's your breakup level on this. So make sure whatever month you're trading on oil, you match up with what I'm showing you here. So people are trading different months in that, just to be clear. Okay, on your 5 minute, where are we right now? Well, we've held our Tenkan. Look where pivot is. This is how much this has fallen overnight. It's $1.10 above here. You've been following down here nicely. You would need to get over this Cajun. This is your S1. So kind of a messy chart as you'd expect. Natty gas. Well, we've flipped back into positive. And as we're speaking here, here's your real clinical sell-off yesterday. We tried to bounce overnight in 3 waves, and we've come back and tested here. This is a very, very weak commodity. How many more people are left in that? I wouldn't think too much. Also remember, bonds have half a day today. Oil and gas normal closes, and the stock market's full. AMD's bouncing as we speak on that Xilinx news, and I see Apple, a lot of them going up here in the pre-market. So on natural gas, let's get back on point. Pretty clear the support and resistance on that one, isn't it? It's like a mirror image. That commodity does a lot of the same thing over and over and over. Let's look at the daily, but just in replications at smaller intervals. If we look at the daily, what we're holding here, or what we held, was this low from way back when, July, August. And if I look at that, just perfect each time. We have totally rebalanced even with that big fall. Underneath here, just use your Murray math lines. If it continues down, above, it's got to get through all this, and just go to your shorter time frames. But your Tenkan is, what is that, 381 there. Okay, so that pretty well covers up those. You can see on the spot with that sell-off, it does look big on the chart on ES, but really we're just at the bottom end of our profile. We have a POC up here. This is what's building. Pretty boring stuff, really, at this time of the year. Sometimes you get fireworks, sometimes you don't. On Apple, we are flirting just underneath this. This is 240, of course. The Cajun and the Tenkan in a little bull flag if this busts up. That would be a good story, but it's a big ask to get that. But I've seen stranger things on the last day of the year. And there we have it. Russell was the weak one yesterday. Pre-market, that's trying to get some legs up. It would really have to get over this 50. This is a 30-minute. But look, we've already gone past the twist, and we're already running into resistance. And here we are finally. The NASDAQ. Very similar to the Russell. It's running sideways, gone past the twist. So we got this resistance. We would need a powerful acceleration through here to have the energy to get through that. But again, let's see. So we had the big caps take a breather yesterday. You would need them to take control today for the bullish side of things. We are seeing in the pre-market, let's see if it holds, I'm seeing a lot of tech names getting bid. So there is that. So yeah, a little bit. Sorry, good question on the Russian and the Americans phone call yesterday. Russia says the phone call between them went well, and their conversation will continue in early 22. What I've seen of the US version of it is it was tough talk, all about Ukraine. So it sounds like it's kind of just one side's trying to beat it up more than the other. The truth somewhere between. Who knows really. An interesting news item I saw overnight, if you recall 2 weeks ago, The big news was, as far as markets go, the wild one was Turkey. Well, I saw Erdogan overnight said the lira will stabilise next week, and he's urging his citizens to keep saving in the lira. The lira's, since that big correction, has been weakening again, and all very technically nice. So that will be interesting to watch for that. I don't think many of us play that one, but it is symptomatic of what's going on in some of the emerging markets. He is obviously not your best role model of a stable leader, but there we have it. So out today, there's no notable data out today, and I don't expect too much to be said. Your main drivers today will be year-end picture window dressing or picture dressing, however you want to call it, to increase most likely the way markets are going to perform this year. So the best S&P stock this year was actually Devon Energy, symbol DVN, up 176%. And the second best was MRO, which is Marathon, so two energy stocks up 145. The worst was Penn, which is the gaming, so that was down 40%. These are S&P stocks. There's been stocks individually a lot worse. Apple itself was up 34%. Tesla was up 51%. And some notable downswings were Disney, down 13.9%, which shouldn't surprise really, given their theme parks and everything was shut. PayPal was down 18.7%. They seemed to get hit when there was a takeover rumor of them buying, who were they buying? Pinstrips, I think. So they finished down 18.7%. So nothing much else to report. We will have a wrap-up with Mayhem at the end of the day. So just keep it tight. Thank you for joining us. If I don't speak to you again today, have a wonderful new year. All our best wishes from all the community. Thank you for being part of it. I know the whole YouTube thingy, for one of a bird, is brand new to us. Thank you for those that have subscribed and liked it and commented. It's much appreciated. I promise we'll improve it as 2022 comes in.